Hello and assalamu alaikum. I give you the Muslim greeting of peace from here in London. I'm Moazzam Begg, former Guantánamo prisoner and the outreach director of the advocacy group CAGE. First, my greetings to all of you at the event for against Islamophobia in Barcelona. I commend you all in standing together in challenging one of the great injustices of our time, and that is the targeting of the Muslim communities across Europe. And in Britain in particular, this is something that I have tasted and seen and witnessed and campaigned against for over the past 10 years. Myself and the organization I work with, CAGE, have been at the forefront at trying to highlight the excesses of the British government and beyond in torture, complicity, in the now new Prevent agenda, which has de facto become a spying program by the government, which targets people from the Muslim community primarily, but of course then extends to beyond that. And that essentially, I say, is what is happening with the anti-terror laws here in the UK, is that they are designed to target the Muslim community, but by their very nature, they will extend to, and have extended in some cases, to people who are not Muslims. In fact, what it starts to do is to criminalize dissent. And we're seeing this across the board in our universities, in our schools, in our colleges, in our medical centers, in our hospitals, where people are being told, people who have got what I would call sacred relationships between their clients, teachers and their pupils, lecturers and their students, doctors and their patients, are being told to violate that because the government claims that it is the Muslim belief system and not grievances based on foreign policy that is causing the threat of radicalization, quote unquote, and terrorism. Now, whilst I accept, and we all accept, that the threat of terrorism is real, especially after the Paris attacks, what we need to recognize is that time and again, the security services in this country, senior politicians and more have said that the threat that exists has been exacerbated and in fact created as a result of illegal wars of occupation and further targeting of people from the Muslim community. I have been subjected to this myself, primarily in Guantánamo, but then again in 2014 when I was held for 7 months under terrorism measures, only to be released at the end of that process because the case, the trial against me collapsed, and that collapsed because essentially I was, in my view, going to win that case overwhelmingly and show that the British policy in Syria had been completely duplicit and was targeting people based upon their beliefs, not on any crime or any threat tangibly that they posed to this country. What we have seen over the past decade are a series of anti-terror legislations that began with the 2000 Terrorism Act and culminated now in the 2015 Counterterrorism and Security Act. And through all of these processes of law that have been passed, have been de facto applied to the Muslim community. So whilst we recognize that Islamophobia on the streets is on the rise, just in the capital here alone, anti-Muslim hate crime has gone up over 70%, with particular emphasis with the attacks on the Muslim community on Muslim women, because they're the softest and easiest, most vulnerable targets. But in addition to that, that climate is created because politicians at the top, like our Prime Minister, have said the Muslim community incubates extremism. And the media, for example, The Sun ran a headline recently saying that 1 in 5 Muslims are supporters of ISIS, which of course is completely factually incorrect and empirically unproven. The truth of the matter is this, is that the Muslims have become the new scapegoat. Many people have made the parallels between the Jewish community in the 1930s and the Muslim community today. One of those people making the parallels, in fact, was Anne Frank's stepsister, who said that the situation for refugees, in particular Muslim refugees coming from Syria, is worse than it was during the time of the rise of the Nazis. And I think that when people of that stature make comments like this, it needs to be taken into account. And the politicians, instead of stoking the fire, stoking the animosity towards the Muslim community through various statements and measures that are continually being passed, they need to take stock of what is happening, recognize that Islamophobia or Islamophobic attacks now have been put on a par with anti-Semitic ones because of the nature of the rise of these attacks. And it's being felt across the community in this country. The one good thing that we can see is that organizations and individuals and groups like the ones that are gathering this evening with you are onto it, recognize what's taking place, and are showing solidarity with Muslims and beyond across the board. So I welcome and applaud your solidarity with our community, and hope that your event is one that is fruitful, that is able to continue to show that strength and solidarity with us, and that hopefully together we can fight and tackle this racism dressed up as Islamophobia. Thank you and good evening.